Well, in today's Life and Career Corner, I have the distinct opportunity to be interviewing Rob Kall, a prolific writer, author, journalist, radio show host, inventor. He has worn many hats over his career. Rob, thank you for joining us here today.
It's a pleasure.
Can you tell us how you've had the chutzpah or the courage to wear all these hats? Where did that come from in you?
Boy, well, I guess I started as a little kid creating little businesses. I mean, I remember going back to being, doing things like lemonade stands. And then I had an idea and I thought it could work, and I decided I'd give it a try. And I was going to grad school, and I was working full-time at night. And I just decided it would be worth it. It seemed like it could be a winning idea. And so I invented something. I invented a biofeedback ring, like a high-tech mood ring. And went around trying to find somebody who could make it for me. And they all said no. So back then, this was 1980, there was no internet. So I went down to the US Patent Office and I looked at the patents that existed, found a patent that looked like it might work, contacted the owner of the patent, and I said, "Can you make this for me?" He goes, "I'm not sure, but I'll take your money."
Yes,
and,
of course.
He did, and that got things started. And I made the first couple hundred by hand, and showed them at a conference, and people liked them and bought them. And so I took it to the next level. We figured out how to mass produce them, and it worked. That got my first company started.
And your first taste for entrepreneurship. Have you always been driven by passions? You know, I read about you creating op-ed news from Colin Powell's talk on the war and having a strong opinion on why the States was going to the war. Do your interests fuel your career?
Absolutely. I had gotten in, my invention was about biofeedback, and I'd been very interested in biofeedback. The idea of biofeedback excited me because it was a way to empower people and raise their consciousness. Biofeedback is basically a technology where you use different kinds of instrumentation to help people to become more aware of how their body physiological responses work, and then to have greater control over them. So it directly empowers people and raises their consciousness of their own bodies. And it was a very exciting work, and I really dove into it, got involved in many different ways, started running conferences on it, developing software with it. But it was basically waking people up and raising their consciousness one person at a time. Then I started blogging. I saw Colin Powell give his talk at the UN that there were weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, and I said to myself, no way, because I had really been following it, and I was right. And a couple weeks later, I decided I started a blog, and it was just for my own purpose and interest. And I started inviting other writers and asking them for permission to reprint their stuff or to have them send it to me. And it started to grow. And in 4 years, it had reached a point where my energy and excitement with it exceeded my energy and excitement with running the conferences which I was running, which were very well acclaimed. And if you go to my LinkedIn page, you'll see lots of people have said wonderful things about them. And I've been credited with really helping the field of neurofeedback. That was the first conference. I ended up doing 3, one on neurofeedback, one on positive psychology and optimal functioning, which I believe was the first conference of its kind in 1996, and then another one, StoryCon, the art, science, and application of story. But then the website Op-Ed News took off, and it's been a passion of mine since I started it. But even that has multiple facets to it. You know, besides writing for it, I didn't know about WordPress or any of the content management systems back then, so I ended up working with a programmer and developing my own content management system, which is not too common anymore. but I've got 10 years of developing it, and it's a really powerful one now. And we're about to start a new project, bringing some of the power of it to other bloggers.
Well, you know, people have ideas, but they don't always know how to execute them. Do you feel you are able to use both sides of your brain by being, you know, logical and analytical with biofeedback, but still having the know-how to be a good entrepreneur, because you have to bring in money too?
Yeah, well, I think it was my passion more than anything else. And I did a lot of research, and you know, I've tried other businesses that haven't really panned out. You know, that happens. And
Yeah.
I think you go into it knowing that, and giving yourself the support to do the business, but also having some landing room. You got to be.
Yes, yes. What advice would you give to people who have a passion for something, but nobody else encourages them? What do you say to that?
Well, I found that it's you don't get it so much from your immediate family or friends. I mean, they love you, they care about you, but they do their own thing. So in this world today, one of the things I've really gotten into is this idea of bottom up. And my main concept in bottom, I do a radio show called Bottom Up, because I believe we're transitioning from a top down to a bottom up culture. And bottom up is changing the world back to where it used to be before civilization existed. Bottom up has created trillions of dollars in new businesses, because that's what social media is all about. Mm-hmm. What I've just concluded is the main thing about bottom up is connection consciousness. You become conscious of all the connections that you have to all the world, to people, to culture, to your ecosystem, to Gaia. And when you have, what's beautiful about the new technologies is that there are so many ways to connect. Clay Shirky wrote a great book about it, Here Comes Everybody, which is really worth reading. There are so many ways to find groups that you are interested in where you can get the support that you might not get from your close family and friends. And I would not expect it from them. Now, that might give you general support and a pat on the back, but there are other people out there who understand it and know about it, and you can find it there. There are listserv groups. Now, I'm working on a book now.
Bottom up. Okay.
And I started a listserv group using Google Groups with people who I thought would be able to help me discuss and have conversations about different aspects of bottom up and the different topics that fall within that. You might want to try that, or find other groups that are already in existence. Just once you get into something you're interested in, use Google Alerts. Google Alerts are really powerful, and we don't have that much time, but they're worth. They basically, you sign up for them, and then instead of searching for a keyword, they come to you as an email every day from Google.
Yes, yes, I'm aware that's an excellent tool. And last but not least, were you not awarded a person of conscience? I talk to people as a life and career coach about knowing your core values. It seems to me you're pretty strong in what your core values in and how you want to contribute to this world. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think so. I've written about how I consider myself to be an awakener. I think there's Thoreau talks about how people go through life without any direction or intention, and what I try to do is provide light and tools and ways to help people to see beyond their usual range of vision, and to open them up to see the inner strengths that they have and use them in ways that can make the world a better place.
I love that, Rob. Can you share with us before we go today where people can read more about you and find out more about your book or talks?
Well, opednews.com/Rob is one. Rob Kall, KALL.com is another. Those would pull together most of the different websites and all that I have.
Well, thank you for your time here today. You're inspiring to a lot of people. Continued success with Bottom Up. I can't wait to hear more about it. And thank you for sharing your advice for other people in life and career transitions here today.
It's a pleasure. Thank you. And I hope to have you on my show soon.
Thank you, Rob.